Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Okay, so the topic of this discussion today is going to be, are CEs and CWs helping or hurting our trade? Okay, first, how many guys here have CEs and CWs in their local? So it's about half, right? We have them as well, local 41. So this is the hurt. And so if you don't have CEs and CWs in your local, then you'll get some understanding of what they do, and maybe they'll come to your local. Maybe you guys will, you not so much, but some of the other inside guys. But there's a lot of varying opinions on whether they're good or bad. I know because I've been on both sides of the fence. When I was a first year apprentice, my journeyman hated them. He just thought they were the devil. So I liked him, so I adopted his attitude, and I knew nothing of the CWs, never met one, but I automatically hated them. They were out to get my job. They were the worst thing that they could have ever implemented into our program. But fast forward 5, 6 years, now I meet a few, now I have a few in my class, I teach them. They're normal guys, they got families, they got goals, they want to be in the inside, they just so happen to only be allowed to, only be offered the CE program, so they took it because they wanted experience. So there's different opinions. So what do you got? And just before we get started, I know a lot of guys will want to talk at the same time, but if you just raise your hand, I'll call on you so that nobody gets interrupted, or you're not fighting for attention. So give me some opinions. What do you guys think about the CECWs? Are they good, bad?
They're a decent evaluation tool.
Good evaluation tool. So that helps us.
Yep.
That's a healthy. Okay, so good.
And that's how we use them. That's our goal, is how we're going to use them. Is if they don't make we take in about 15 or 16 years of apprenticeship, and if they don't make it in there and we want them, we approach them about the CECW program. We can usually put them on the job pretty quick. And then we had one who's staying in the CECW, and then we had one who applied to get in and didn't get in, and applied to get in and didn't get in. Now he hates unions like with a passion.
So
but
we lost them.
Yeah, but we didn't want him. So far.
So you evaluated it, and
it evaluated, it weeded him out, and it has also got some guys in where he got so many letters of recommendation that if they didn't take him, it was obvious what was going on there. So
gotcha.
It has worked as a great evaluation tool for us.
Anything else? Anyone?
I think that's the only thing it should be used for.
Evaluation?
Yeah, or just like a second
Okay, so
stone in
you
the
obviously have an
apprenticeship.
opinion. What about something that
Well, it takes a job away from an IBEW member.
are they not IBW members?
I don't think so. Do they pay dues?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. They do pay
Working
Are they
dues?
indentured?
So let's bring that down to they take jobs away from inside journeymen, maybe.
Okay.
Right? If that's how you feel about it.
Are they indentured or in pensions and
Yeah.
benefits?
Yeah.
There's some stuff they don't
It's a
get.
different pension, it's a different pay scale, but they are dues paying members.
They
So
pay
they're
quarterly
taking our jobs.
and working dues?
That's right.
Can a CECW do what you do?
I don't think so.
Some of
They
it.
usually
How they gonna
might-
take your job?
Some of it.
Now, that's me being biased because I have grown to accept the program for what it is, and I have my own opinion, so.
To say, no, they can't do what I do, but I can do what they do. You know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, in that sense,
They
I'm
are
not
doing their job.
advocating for or against, but in that sense, they could, you can make whatever they are taking your job.
Yeah.
Just
I
because
can
they can't
run
do what
that
I
pipe.
do,
I
I
can
mean,
run
I
that
can't
stuff.
do what they're doing.
Right, but are you willing to drop 60% of your pay?
No, I meant the work, the labor. I didn't mean pay
Okay.
rate.
I got you. All right. So, any other
Yeah.
helpful aspects.
Yep.
I think we're missing the other side of it too, their side of it, because I was hesitant with the program like you are, and I'm starting to see it develop a little bit. It gives a lot of guys who are hesitant to leave the non-union because they hear all the rumors about us. They can dip their foot in the pond. They're not quite, I mean, they are union members, but they're not quite fully in it. They can always go back. So it lets them see what we're about.
I agree.
Okay.
And most of them at that point decide, I want in. This is not what I thought it was.
So
I
would
want
you say,
in.
would you say that's an organizing tool then?
I think it's a very good
I do
organizing
too.
tool.
Good.
I did not think it was that one when the program developed though.
Organizing tool, I agree 100%, because the ultimate goal of us is to be organizing every electrician on the planet, right?
The organizing tool worked out great for us also. We had a ADM, they had a 30-man, 40-man shop in an ADM facility. When they did not renew their contract, there was 40 electricians standing there wanting to know where they're going to go work. And we were able to slot almost half of those guys in as CECWs and put them back to work within a week.
Right.
As union electricians. And now since then, a few of them have taken the journeyman test, and not journeyman. A few of them made it into the apprenticeship, slotted in different years. But that gave us this ability to just absorb those guys right away. And their only other option would have been to go apply at another non-union shop. So organizing, I think you have to almost put it up there twice, because it does give you, like he said, an opportunity to not get into the apprenticeship and just get an idea of how it is, but just to be able to absorb it with somebody on the spot, get them on the job right away is pretty
Sure.
cool.
Did you have something?
A negative is sometimes you may have CECWs that are kind of getting screwed. They may come in with a little more experience than some of our apprentices, but yet they're being paid less.
Now, the topic is, are we doing right by the CECWs? Because everyone is on a different skill level.
Yeah.
That's just a gimme. But the question is, are they helping us or hurting us? So
As
a guy,
a union, is that what you mean
as a union,
body?
yes, as a union, are they helpful or are they hurting us? To get a guy to pay a guy $9 to try him out, whether he has the same skill as a journeyman or maybe half the skill of a journeyman, it's a evaluation process for them to see if they actually want to come and work for us permanently, and if we want them to work for us permanently. You know what I mean? So who cares if we're screwing them? They want to be where we are. You know what I mean?
But that kind of leads to something I wanted to say. This is just me, but despite what your feelings are about CEs or CWs, they're human beings that are just trying to make a living.
Absolutely.
They have families and they're trying to support their families. They see a good thing in the union and they're trying to get in. We all had to get in at one time. We were all on the outside looking to get in. And I think we need to keep that in mind as journeymen. We just did a topic about being journeymen that were jerks.
Yeah.
Why would we want to be a jerk to these folks? If you want somebody to come to your church or to your whatever organization, you don't treat them like buttholes.
Right.
You know what I
agree
mean?
100%.
I just feel, and that's my opinion. I don't, and now I'll finish and say I don't like the CECW program. I wish that these individuals could get into our program some other way. I wish
Right.
that never existed because they
But-
are taking our job. However, they're human beings and we need to treat them like such.
For the locals that have 200 applicants a year and can only take 12,
Yeah, but
the
take
CE program
yeah, they could
might be an option to,
take 14, 16.
well, not only that, but just not turn away talented guys that
Correct.
can't fit the criteria of the inside.
That take jobs away, I can give some examples of where it's opposite, giving us some jobs.
Yeah.
So we have a contractor who was, he couldn't, with an apprentice, with a blend rate, he could get some solar jobs, and there was quite a few in that area. So in his local, he could make that blend rate. Outside of it, you can't get the portability. So at CECW, he can blend those jobs, and he's put 5 or 6 journeymen to work for probably 2 years now. Because instead of having to bid that job at 2 journeymen, he can bid it at a journeyman and a CW and get those jobs. So there's hard
Competitive
concrete
bid.
about where you can get there. And then Tate Mile is a huge facility. We've had up to Decatur, Illinois.
Oh, shit.
We have up
Oh,
to
yeah.
50 people at that plant at one time, and usually about 30. And we got kicked out of that plant a dozen years ago, and they have not let us back in because they made a little carve out and allowed us to use CECWs there. There's a dozen journeymen working there every single day, up to 40, and somewhere between 10 and around 10 apprentices and 5 CECWs.
So in this instance, they are definitely helpful. They keep us competitive because not every local has a couple big shops and a couple small shops. Small shops will bid as many jobs as they can. If they lose those jobs to non-union, now they have nothing left to bid on because they can't bid the jobs that the big shops can bid. Hiring a few CEs and CWs will allow you to be competitive in your bid against the non-union companies, which will put you in a better place to win the actual bid.
I do have a way that it is hurting. Well, it's hurting us because it's hurting contractors, and we are a team with contractors, whether we like it or not. CWCs are used primarily by the smaller contractors, the guys starting off, and they do the work we don't do, the light commercial, stuff like that. And they
Give me
get
an example,
like a McDonald's, like
grocery store,
yeah,
or okay.
stuff that we can never get into, but now they can because of the lower rate. So they get CWCEs. These guys then go into our program at some point. They lose those guys. Now they're getting them because apprentices can't work on their own. These guys can, but then they get this guy. They like him. They train him. We take him. He's gone. So that's what they're complaining to me about.
Oh, you mean so they get into the apprenticeship?
They get in the inside
journeyman.
program, and then the contractor's mad. He's like, I've got to go get a new guy now and retrain him.
This is when they have schoolwork.
Yeah, see, that's totally opposite of the scenario that I encounter in my hometown local. The CEs and CWs are basically sentenced to life in that classification until they can crawl their way out. It needs to be redefined what their path is to that journeyman status. So we don't have contractors complaining about losing them because they ride them for basically ever.
Can't they have them in some cases for like 1,400 hours?
They can have them for 7 years.
It could be indefinitely. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be a CE for your entire career.
Yes.
Now, wouldn't that fall under the herd category? I mean, what
It
I'm getting at
creates a
is-
two-tier wage system.
Yes,
Because these guys are actually, they are picking up our skills.
they are.
And at some point, if you leave a guy at CWCE indefinitely, he's going to be as good as a journeyman at some point.
At some point,
And
but
so
he has
then
to
you
prove
water
that.
down, what it means to be an electrician, what our rate is. I mean, you already have done it to some degree with, you've got a apprentice ratio, which on most small jobs up to 8 people, at least in my local, can be a 1-to-1 ratio. And then, so then you throw this other classification, and it just seems, if you're gonna leave them there forever, that does hurt. The JW.
Who does it hurt? Us?
The JWs, the inside line.
Okay. I mean, it may hurt our feelings that they're out there with the service van from whatever ABC contractor, and they're the only guy on the job, and maybe they have a lower ranked CE. But as far as the language goes, they can do that, and I don't think it's right. I don't think they should be out there, dealing with stuff. That's it. Damn. Okay. So.
Well, there's a ratio there, like for each German lineman or German wireman. There's a ratio like 2-to-1 or.
Mine's 3-to-1 in my local.
For
Journeyman to apprentice, or you don't.
right, but the
CE,
CWs, they don't have.
Well, they're taking your money.
Yeah.
Other companies bid it lower
Yeah.
and never use it.
In our local, I know we don't have any non-union contractors that bid on the work that our union guys do. We have You're a pretty lucky. good share of the market. We don't need
Yeah.
CWCs. We have a cost saving. It's our apprenticeship. I mean,
It may be bountiful now, but at some point, maybe it won't.
I just
be
don't
so
see
much
the benefit from an IBEW standpoint.
For your local.
at all. For
For your local.
Yeah.
There's other
All
guys
it's
that
gonna do
are
is drive
struggling.
our wages down.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna send a journeyman home
Yeah.
after a 7-year CECW can do what he can do and only pay him
But
half of
they
it.
can only be allowed, this is where it benefits us to have them. Yes, they're cheap labor, yes, we can use them to be competitive, but at the same time, they are only allowed on certain jobs. It can only be so many floors, it can only be so many
14,000
square
square
feet.
Well, that's my biggest issue,
Oh,
is there
small
seems
commercial.
to be no standard or any kind of structure
There
to
is,
how
but
they
it's
can
top
be
secret, and
used.
you have to be in a group, and you need
You know,
fingerprints
I mean-
and eye scans and all
And
kinds of
just,
shit.
just
to
because
be
it's
able
on
to see
paper
it.
somewhere don't mean it's always, you know, that's the
It's not
biggest
enforced.
problem we have,
Enforcement.
is that it's not enforced.
It comes up to the business manager's decision, because, so we have one carve out at Tate Mile, but then they can park them in them other places, and that's up to the business manager. And he has allowed them to move them because the work got really slow in one spot, but after 2 weeks, he said, no, that's it, that's what I said you could do, and that's it. So your business manager has a ton of influence on that. And then also, they're only allowed to work on, in our local, less than 14,000 square feet. It was all the stuff that we weren't even bidding on, essentially. These small solar projects, and those are the only things they're allowed to be on, other than a couple small
Sure.
things. So
I
that
would just
protects
like
us a
to
little
see
bit.
some kind of, some kind of structured policy for how they
We all
can be
would,
used.
no
and-
one would want to see that more than the actual CEs and CWs, because they're sitting in every class. For us, we don't force them to go to school. They get points for every journeyman ed class that they attend, and after so many, they're allowed to test up. So the time they spend in that classification is totally solely based on how much they put into it. They can be a CE1 for years, or I don't even know which one's higher.
And whose discretion is that? The contractor?
The hall.
It's kinda like he said, it's,
Once they meet
sign up.
certain criteria, they can go take a test and move up to the next level.
Yep, and that's education based. I don't think there's hours.
Who makes
There
the
may be
decision
hours.
on whether they can join the apprenticeship?
It is the, whatever your group is, so it's more than one local. That it's, so it's
I just feel like
ours
there's
like
gonna
a
be
state
guys that
size,
get
and it's
to
so
a
many
point where
hours,
they're-
you have to
they're
pass a
top
craft
of it.
certification.
They're at the top of the CECW scale,
So
so
just
they're never gonna go.
in the
to a
interest of
first-year
time,
apprentice and take
just to
a pay cut.
summarize it, there's pros and cons to having the CECW program in your local. Just don't automatically set up a wall and be biased to it because of what you heard or what you thought coming through the apprenticeship yourself. Take some time and actually inquire about what it is and what they do and how it helps us. Because in my opinion, which has changed from my first opinion, is that they are helpful and they are useful in certain instances. So just don't, be biased without valid reason.
I just find it extremely hypocritical that.
Thank you very much.
There's a way for them to move through, to become a C3, and at that point, all they're supposed to have to do is take the craft certification for every